In this presentation, we will take a look at a common managerial accounting type problem, a problem of scrap or rework. In this type of managerial accounting problem, we have a situation where we have a number of units which are defective in some way. And the question then is, do we scrap them now? Do we take what we can in order to scrap the units, or should we rework them so that we can sell them at a higher price? Here's going to be the data that we will go through with this scenario. We have the units produced. We have 5,270 units. The cost per unit is $42. The units were damaged. So we've already produced the 5,270 units. We've already spent the $42 to produce those units. Those costs then are sunk. They're already gone. It is what it is. At this point in time, we have 5,270 units and they are damaged. So what we need to do then is think about, okay, what do we do from this point forward? All the money that we put into it already doesn't matter. If we're going to lose money on it, we're losing money on it. That it is what it is. What we have right now, 5,270 units. What can we do to make the most money at this point in time with those 5,270 units? We're going to have three options. Option one, we basically just scrap them and sell them for what they are, sell them for the scrap at $7. So we just sell them $7 per unit, in essence, basically scrapping them and picking up the $7 in order to do so. Or we could possibly disassemble them, sell them in unit parts or component parts, and in so doing, be able to sell those component parts for, in essence, $11 per unit rather than $7, given that disassembling process. However, we are going to have to spend $31,500 to disassemble them in order to sell them in their component parts. Or option three, we could repair them. And we're thinking that if we go through the repair process, then of this 5,270 units, we think we can salvage and repair to good condition 3,050 units. However, it will cost us $102,000 to do that. If we were to do that, however, we could sell these units for $44 per unit. So those are our three alternatives. Note what we're going to start off with here. The first thing we're going to start off with is not consider the sunk costs. First thing we're going to go is, man, this is terrible because, we were expecting to sell them for some amount clearly higher than this. We were expecting to have some type of profit. We have a sunk cost because we spent already the 5,270 times 42. We've spent that much money. You would think that this calculation should be somewhere in our answer somewhere, right? Because that's part of what the cost of our process is, but it's gone. That cost is involved in either of these three options. It's in the past. It's done. Nothing we can do about it now. So the first thing we got to realize is the cost here is done, doesn't affect us, not relevant, it's sunk. So now we got to think of the three alternatives from this point forward. Think about what our best decision-making process is. Alternative 1, 2, and 3. We're going to start with the incremental revenues. So obviously we have option 1, which was $7 times our units of 5,270. That's going to be the 36,890. Option 2, the revenue side, would be the $11 times the 5,270. That's going to be 57,970. And option 3, the $44 times, and now we're picking up the 3,050 because these are only the ones that we could salvage of the 5,270 if we were to rework them. So 44 times 3,050, that's going to be the 134,200. Then we're going to have the incremental costs. Now, alternative 1, of course, if we just scrap them right now, we just pick up whatever we can for it, it's going to cost 0 from this point forward. Again, we've already spent 42 per unit. That's done, irrelevant. It's not relevant to this point in time. 0 cost at this point in time going forward. 0 cost in between these alternatives because this cost is already there. It's there in all alternatives. Okay, option 2. Then we have the 31,500 to disassemble. Option 3, we've got the 102,000 in order to repair them to sell them at the $44. Then if we were to subtract these out, then of course we have the 36,970, the 57,970 minus the 31,500 is the 26,470, and the 134,200 minus the 102,000 is the 32,200. So the option that we should have then is option 1 under these three options, and that's going to be to basically scrap them at this point in time. Key component, one more time, with these types of problems is going to be that you want to make sure that you're picking up the relevant costs, the costs that will be different between the alternatives, and that does not include costs that have already been done, costs prior to this point in time. It does include the costs from this point going forward.